Thanks for watching ERi-TV, dear viewers. Welcome to our news broadcast. A quick look at the major headlines. Mr. Alameen Mohammed Saeed, Secretary of the PFDJ, passes away. 8 diagnosed positive for COVID-19 in tests carried out today. The European Union plans to toughen sanctions on Belarus. U.S. says inflation to keep rising in the next few months. The Secretary of the PFDJ, Mr. Alameen Mohammed Saeed, veteran freedom fighter and one of the pioneers and stalwarts of Eritrea's liberation struggle, has passed away at the age of 74 due to sudden illness during his brief sojourn for public seminars in Saudi Arabia. The late veteran fighter Alameen Mohammed Saeed joined the ELF at a young age in 1966 and was one of the founders of the EPLF in 1970. And for the subsequent 55 long years, Mr. Alameen served his nation and people with stellar dedication and distinction. He was elected to higher offices in the first, second, and third EPLF Congresses. Among other leadership positions, Mr. Alameen was head of the EPLF Foreign Relations 1977 to 87, National Guidance 1987 to 91, Information 1991 to 94, and PFDJ Secretary 1994 to 2021. Fluent in many languages, Mr. Alameen was renowned for his exceptional personal warmth and kindness. Expressing deep sorrow of the passing away of veteran fighter Mr. Alameen Mohammed Saeed, the government of Eritrea and the People's Front for Democracy and Justice expresses condolences to the Eritrean people, families, and friends. Arrangement for the funeral service will be announced. 8 patients have been diagnosed positive for COVID-19 in tests carried out today at quarantine centers and testing stations in the Central and Anbar regions. Out of these, 5 patients are from quarantine centers and testing stations in Ma'akal Katama, Hazhaz, and Deposito Central Region. 3 patients are from quarantine centers and testing stations in Karan, Anbar region. On the other hand, 1 patient who has been receiving medical treatment in hospital in the Central Region has recovered fully and has been discharged from the facility. The total number of recovered patients has accordingly increased to 6,863, while the number of deaths stands at 51. The total number of confirmed cases in the country to date has increased to 7,063. Ministry of Health, Asmara, 15 November 2021. The Godive Community Hospital, equipped with modern medical facility, is providing commendable health service to the public. The report was made by the medical director of the community hospital, Mr. Menges Issa, a public health expert. He added that currently the hospital is providing for cardiac, TB, eye, dental, HIV and AIDS and other internal diseases treatment, and that is significantly contributing in easing the burden of other hospitals in the Central Region. Mr. Menges went on to say that the hospital is also providing 13 types of vaccinations to children under 5 years of age. The number of pregnant women visiting the hospital for treatment has increased by 10% compared to previous years, and that has significantly contributed in the reduction of deaths due to delivery. The Godive Community Hospital has been established as health center in 1988. That was our domestic news. Please stay tuned for the international right after the short break. The European Union plans to toughen sanctions on Belarus today and extend them to include airlines and other involved in transporting migrants, the EU's top diplomat said as the migrant crisis on the Polish border intensifies. Europe accuses Belarus of mounting a hybrid attack by flying in migrants from countries like Syria and Afghanistan and pushing them to cross illegally into EU member Poland. Belarus has repeatedly denied the accusation. This morning, Polish border guards warned migrants on the other side of the border over loudspeakers that force could be used against them if they disobey orders, after Poland and Lithuania reported they stopped over 100 people each attempting to enter yesterday. Arriving at the meeting in Brussels, EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell told reporters the ministers would approve further sanctions on Minsk. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko was quoted as saying today that Minsk would retaliate against any new sanctions imposed on it by the West. President of the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank in Minneapolis, Neil Kashkari, said yesterday that he expects the country's inflation to keep rising in the next few months. His remarks came just days after the U.S. Labor Department reported that inflation acceleration in October, the biggest monthly rise in nearly 31 years. The latest report released by the department's Bureau of Labor Statistics showed that the U.S. Consumer Price Index rose 0.9% in October, the largest increase in 4 months. U.S. inflation hit a 30-year high in October by rising at a 6.2% annual rate, the highest rate since November 1990. A separate survey published on Friday showed that U.S. consumer confidence hit a 10-year low in November amid rising inflation. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index fell to 66.8 for November, well below market expectations of 72.4, which was the lowest since November 2011. The report said that the fall in confidence was in response to rising inflation. Dear viewers, now a recap of tonight's headlines. Mr. Alameen Mohammed Saeed, Secretary of the PFDJ, passes away. 8 diagnosed positive for COVID-19 in tests carried out today. European Union plans to toughen sanctions on Belarus. And U.S. inflation to keep rising in the next few months. And that was our news for tonight, dear viewers. It is good night from us.